Hey sports fans, here's a tip to keep in mind the next time you make your betting picks. According to research, home field advantage is no joke, especially in those playoffs. In the NBA and the NFL postseason, the home team typically has a 64% shot at victory. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hour number 3 live and underway on the early line, Sirius XM channel 159, right here on the Sports Grid Network. Mark Zinno, Donnie right side, breaking it all down. And on April Fools, no jokes here. Straight to the topics, straight to the information that you need. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's the way we present it to you. The Final Four is going to be fantastic in anticipation on Saturday. We got Major League Baseball today. We will get to that in hour number 3. The vibes are high. Brought out the pastels over here for the blue shirt, Mark. I'm feeling good today. I'm ready to go. Spring is here.
I mean, look at you. $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Millions.
You look good. You'll do a show good. You'll have great takes and great opinions, and it all falls into place.
It does. It's the way we do it around here at the network and here. The framing looks fantastic on this show. The mics are sensational. The talent on air looks fantastic. I mean, how can it get any better than this?
Don't tell that to Ben Stevens. I mean, you know, he's not here. He is the supreme level of talent on the early line here. I just hope to fill in those very large shoes.
Fill those shoes April 1st, and away we go. Now, before we get into taking a look at a little bit of action here where we like to reach out to the public and get a poll together on which way you voted, I do want to take a look at the masterpiece that should be the Final Four and the odds that present themselves on the FanDuel Sportsbook to win it all. It's no surprise here for us, Mark. It's the Duke Blue Devils at a plus 100 price, the Florida Gators at a plus 290, Houston Juicy at plus 420, and Auburn at plus 490. You look at these odds right here, and we'll do it two ways, Mark. Everybody's odds are plus 100 for me. Obviously, it's the Duke Blue Devils. Everybody's odds are not plus 100 and additional. I still take the Duke Blue Devils plus 100. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before the tournament started, if you had a Duke ticket where it was 3-1 for them to win, you're not upset right now. And I don't think it's a bad bet to take Duke at even money to go out and win this thing because, again, you'll be able to create a hedge opportunity in the final. Where you might be able to, depending on what the line is and what it looks like, might be able to make some money. So I think in general, those odds feel about right with Auburn being the long shot, so to speak, between the four teams. But, some of this, too, is dictated by the path, right? Having to beat Duke in the first round would change the odds for Houston, right? If Houston was on the other side of the bracket, they might be the second favorite behind Duke because they don't have to play them. That's the other part. Florida only has to beat Duke in the final, and after winning one, who knows what the situation looks like. So that all plays into it.
Yeah, two spreads that, both under currently now at most outlets, under 5 points here. One game we're looking for an expanded offense. The other one, obviously, when Houston comes to the table, they bring a lot of defense and a lot of fun. So I can't wait for the Final Four to take place. But at this time, Mark, as we say, each time at the top of the hour on the third hour right here on the early line, we take a look at SportsGrid. It is our Fade the Public poll. Today, the question was asked, which star is the best bet to win Final Four Most Outstanding Player? And understand this. Wipe the slate clean is what you're supposed to do, Mark, because MOP is supposed to only count for the Final Four as it states. The four options we gave the public today: Cooper Flagg at a plus 120 price, Walter Clayton Jr. at a plus 380 price, Janai Broom at a plus 850, and LJ Cryer at a 10-1 price. I voted Cooper Flagg because I think Duke is going to win it all. Duke is plus 100. So if you want to take that leap that over the next two games, Flagg is the best player in this tournament, you get a plus 120 price at 51%. The low man on the totem pole, it's LJ Cryer of Houston at 10-1 at under 4%. Mark, where did you vote in this poll today?
I voted for Walter Clayton, but I would actually put something down on Clayton and Broom, because one of those two is going to play in the final, right?
Mm.
So take the half unit and split a quarter unit on each one, and hope for the best. And maybe it's Janai Broom who gets through at longer odds. But if either Florida or Auburn happens to upset Duke, it's because those two guys were the biggest linchpin for their respective teams.
I'll tell you what, it's interesting too, because you never want to short yourself, because most people that are betting the tournament obviously have bet a favorite before the tournament. And if it's Duke, if it's Houston, or Florida, or whoever it might be, it's like, okay, you're going to ride that one out, and then you might want to put a little bit extra here on who the MOP might be. But I got a feeling that there's people out there like, you know what, I only bet Cooper Flagg to be the MOP, and if Duke wins it and another player wins that award, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow, because I still do think that it is the Final Four MOP. But you take a look at the tournament itself, where hey, this guy played really well. It's supposed to be a clean slate from the Final Four into the championship game. So you take a look again, Flagg, Clayton, Broom, and Cryer as the favorites here. You wipe the slate clean. We've already seen a game or two here where Tyrese Proctor went absolutely ballistic from 3-point range. He's 50-1 at this point. Would it surprise you, Mark, if Proctor has 6 triples in game number 1 to get them in the final, and he might be the favorite at that point?
I don't think there's a world where anybody who has a vote in this thing has enough clarity or non-bias to not vote for Cooper Flagg if Duke wins.
It's true. You're right. You're right.
The voters are gutless. They're all cowards. They don't vote with what they see. They vote with what they feel. All right, and that's part of it. And again, as you said, they will, in their minds, they're going to say, well, it's only supposed to be in the Final Four, but they watched the previous 4 games. They know what he means to Duke. They know what he means to everything that they do. They're here because of him. They don't survive to this point without him for an entire NCAA tournament. They might have been able to get their way through the ACC tournament, but they're not getting to the Final Four without Cooper Flagg, and everybody knows that. So I don't see a world where Duke wins this and anybody but Cooper Flagg is most outstanding player.
And by the way, let me ask you this question. Why can't we just have the MOP of the tournament? Nobody's going to give it to a guy that got knocked out in the round of 32. It's coming from the teams in the Final Four, and 95% will come from a team that makes it into the final, and the rest of that will come from probably the team that's going to win the tournament. But I always get this because the human element always creeps into it. At least in the NFL, it's the Super Bowl MVP. Who played best in that game? Now, granted, usually the best player on the best team. If it's close, they lean towards the quarterback. I understand that. But the clarity would be so much easier. Yes, Flagg had 2 50-point games before the Final Four and then had 14 points in 16, but they still won it. He's still the best player on the best team, but not just the best player maybe in the final 2 games. I just wish it was for the whole tournament, and it would take all the subjectiveness out of the equation for me, Mark.
Yeah, again, I think when you just talk about the subjectiveness coming out of it, it makes sense. But still, this is very much a award that will always go, obviously, to the guy on the team that wins it, and it'll always go to the player who had the best overall tournament, not just the best Final Four. Again, there's a lot of other Duke players on this team that are really good, and if you look at some of the stat boxes and stat lines, and dive into it, you'll see that there are other players there that would be somewhat deserving. they just don't get the attention that Cooper Flag does, and it's not going to change. They are here for Cooper Flag, and him winning it and getting the number 1 overall pick in the NBA and all that stuff. We've already written the history and how this thing ends. So I don't think there's anything stopping that from happening.
Yeah, like down the line too, Mark, you take a look at this MOP number. Like for me, I think you have an opening with Auburn if they can win it. Like if Janai Broome isn't 100%, I don't know if Auburn can actually win the championship, which means maybe it doesn't not be the focal point in the Final Four where tons of rebounds, tons of points, tons of minutes here. Pettiford's at 20 to 1 price. Denver Jones at an 85 to 1 price. Chad Baker Mazzara at 110 to 1 price at this point. So when I line it up, maybe there's opportunities on teams outside of Duke. But then being said, why outsmart yourself? You think Duke's going to win. It's probably their best player's going to win the MOP, and they run away with this thing here. But again, it's all for 1 seeds here in a 1-game playoff for those teams. It's so much fun to watch. We continue the hot topics, which includes Major League Baseball next on the early line.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Baseball, 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 baby. It is a Tuesday, and the Major League Baseball schedule has a decent slate laid out. No afternoon games today, all the way through. Most teams have already had their home openers, or if not, they're not going to take place today, or at least not in the afternoon. Yesterday, my Philadelphia Phillies picked up a victory yesterday, but that's inconsequential. That's not what we're talking about today, even though I would like to talk major Phillies action because the Atlanta Braves not having a good open to the season. I'll tell you who is having a good open to the season. It's the New York Yankees, and it's their bats. And they're home today. Burns versus Warren. If we look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, the opening number was a -108 price here as a favorite towards the Yankees. Slight, if that, basically a pick 'em. And today, across the board, it still looks like it's going to be a pick 'em. 8's at the opening number for a total. Still currently sitting live at the FanDuel Sportsbook at 8 runs here. Arizona, New York Yankees. Initial thoughts for you, Mark Zinno?
I mean, I don't know how much I trust the Yankee starter, Chase Warren, tonight. That's would be the biggest concern for me. Will Warren has been bad. Corbin Burns has got plenty of experience pitching against the Yankees last year as a member of the Orioles. And if you go back to what he did last year, I feel like he was pretty successful against the Yankees. Yeah, he had a 2.45 ERA, 11 innings, gave up just 3 runs, and struck out 15. So now, granted, he didn't win either of the 2 starts he had against him. However, he can get the Yankees out. He held them to a 162 batting average, again, in his 11 innings of work over 2 starts. So I would, crazy as it sounds, I mean, Arizona feels like, the +1.5 feels like the way you'd want to go here, if you ask me.
Yeah, you're lining this up too. You look at the 8.5, which it says on the graphics, it's actually sitting at 8 live. Cooler temperatures here in New York City, 47 degrees at first pitch here. And obviously, it is a game that's going to take place at night. That'll probably dip a little bit lower, but it is blowing out at around 8 to 10 miles an hour to that short porch in right field. Seeing how the Yankees have attacked the baseball, particularly at home to open the season, does that give you a pause with the 8 runs at this point? Or you just figure that Burns knows the Yankees, will be able to navigate. Maybe the Arizona bats will stay cool here on the East Coast?
Yeah, that, and I mean, there is some thought that there has to be some regression from the Yankees lineup after what they did against Milwaukee, right? Like, that's the anomaly. Scoring 32 runs in 2 games has little to do with torpedo bats and everything else, and other than just a strange statistical, anomaly that would come back down to earth. And that said, too, I mean, Arizona played 4 games against the Cubs, and 3 of the 4 of those had at least 8 runs or more in it, or 9 runs or more in it. So they've scored a lot of runs as well. Baseball regression is a real thing, and I know the Yankees have hit 15 home runs in their first 3 games, but I don't know that is going to continue here tonight. And so maybe just some natural regression brings it back to the pack.
Yeah, I tell you what's interesting too is because, again, the Yankees bats have been absolutely on fire. You take a look. Okay, the Yankees are at home and roughly a pick-em price, and that total's got to be high. No, it's only 8 sitting live, so that buyback here where the numbers are being trusted by the odds maker, we'll see if that holds up tonight at Yankee Stadium in New York. Now, if we go from East Coast out to West Coast, we're taking a look at the Los Angeles Dodgers with a 10-10 start taking on the Atlanta Braves, the undefeated Dodgers and the winless Atlanta Braves. Second time around through the rotation, Chris Sale's going to get another crack at the 2025 season. This line opened up as a favorite overnight for the Dodgers at -122. It now sits at -138, so it is rising in favor for the Dodgers. Sooner than later, the Braves have to win. The question's going to be is, do the Braves actually get some base hits with runners in scoring position, score more than 1 run, which you need to take down the Dodgers? How do we feel about this line hovering under 140 here? And what to see on that graphic at a 162 price, some violent movements this morning.
Yeah, I mean, again, you have the National League Cy Young from last year and Chris Sale and a lefty going up against a Dodgers team that is starting Dustin May. I don't know if it means anything to you about how much the carryover is. Last year, the Dodgers were number 1 in Major League Baseball in OPS and WRC plus against left-handed pitching. They absolutely tormented left-handed pitching last year. So Chris Sale, obviously a lefty, but also, again, I mean, the Braves have to win a game eventually. The smartest thing to do here is take the Braves with the +1.5 and hope to get out of there. Maybe the Dodgers win the thing 4-3 if the Braves don't win it outright, right? And I mean, at some point in time, the Braves +1.5 is going to cash here as they continue to be a dog.
Yeah, and how do you play out that? Because, again, we're looking for a correction in the season for the Atlanta Braves. They're not as bad as what they're showing. They're just playing elite competition. Is that a choice where you just bet the Braves because they're getting a good number at this point? But when we say good number, like I expected, just like this morning where the Dodgers were in that 160 range, they plummeted down. So a lot of people have the same intuition, like this might be the spot where the Braves, with Sale on the mound, have a good shot at knocking off the Dodgers. But riding streaks, right? So many times we do in sports, Dodgers streaking one way, Braves the other way.
Yeah, again, sometimes you just play the number, right? What's the old adage? You play numbers, not teams. So you remove the jersey and the hat and figure out what it is and look at the number, and it should tell you everything you need to know that the Braves would be the side to play here. So it would be Atlanta or pass. I don't think you should lay with the Dodgers, certainly, and not at that price, not at minus 160. But again, how much do you trust the fact that the Dodgers, who hammer left-handed pitching, won't do the same to Chris Sale?
Yeah, anticipated starting lineup tonight there for the Dodgers: Ohtani, Betts, Hernandez, Smith, Edman, Muncy, Hernandez, Rojas, and Pages in that lineup. And then if we take a look at the Atlanta Braves, Harris, Riley, Olsen, Ozuna, Albies, Baldwin, De La Cruz, Kelenic, and Arce in the lineup tonight. Sooner than later, they have to start hitting them. Again, you're playing in ultimate, pitcher's ballpark per se. San Diego's still nice weather. We get it, but that is a pitcher's ballpark. Same thing with Los Angeles. So if you are struggling, you're going to get a really good bullpen for the Dodgers. It's just a matter of you must attack that starting pitcher. So for me, if I looked at a way to play the Braves, where it's like, okay, maybe I don't know if they win this baseball game, but I know they won't be in it unless they score runs. I haven't checked there, but their team total over the first 5 innings has to be extremely low. And that would be my attack point, where I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't say a breakout, but 2 runs by the Braves in the first inning, maybe tacking on 1 in the 3rd or 4th inning, 4 runs before you get to the 5th, before you get into that nasty Dodgers bullpen, might be a way to certainly play this game. But it is interesting to see that the Atlanta Braves winless on the season. The Dodgers have not having a loss on the season. This line opened up at that minus 122, minus 124 price, blasts up to the 165 range, and now dips back into the 130s here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. You're going to get that a lot early in the regular season of Major League Baseball in the month of March, and now finally into the month of April. More games to take a look at Major League Baseball on the way next, which includes Cleveland and San Diego.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The team we expected to be a national championship frontrunner all season long and even before the big dance. That is the Duke Blue Devils.
I don't care that people are like, oh, anticlimactic. You have the 4 best teams lined up, superstar coaches, young coaches, old coaches, veteran teams, young teams. This has got a lot of great storylines heading to the Final Four this weekend.
Only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Talking Major League Baseball, but before we do that, more news coming out of the NFL owners' meetings where some of these rule changes are being voted on, and one that I actually like here, the rule to change the kickoff. Now, the dynamic kickoff is still going to be in place last year. It's much better than what we had previously where everybody's kicked the football out of the end zone. The anticipation was to start the season last year, would teams have more actual special teams returns because other teams would not want to kick the football in the end zone, giving it to 30. It's pretty much a mixed bag. Most teams didn't care, kicked it out of the end zone. You got the ball to 30. The adjustment comes this year, Mark Zeno, where instead of the 30, touchback goes to the 35. The anticipation is 33% of the kickoffs returned in 2024 should turn into 60 to 70% returns in 2025. Your thoughts on that?
Again, this is stupid. Just go back to the regular kickoff. Like, I don't understand why we have to tweak every single thing. Okay, so in reality now, if I kick the ball out of bounds, it's essentially the same thing as a touchback by 5 yards, right? You get the ball at the 40 versus a touchback, which gets it at the 35. Like, why are we overemphasizing kicking? We should be de-emphasizing kicking in every size, way, shape, or form. Kickers suck. They're the worst humans on the planet. So let's not bring more of them into this game at all. I understand you want more returns. I don't know how to get them for you other than just kick the ball off and let guys run it out. Like, do you value player safety or do you value football more? The NFL constantly sends you contradictory messages on what really is important to them. And then we just try to find some way to continue to tweak every single thing 15 times over because they make perfect the enemy of good. Fix it. I don't know how to fix this for the NFL. Do I care if there's more returns? No, I don't. I don't know who sits there and goes.
You'd rather have a touchback on every play. No way.
I didn't say it needed to be on every play, but I really don't get wound around the axle. The game is won by offense and defense. Yes, special teams is part of it. I'm not saying it's not, but 85 to 90% of the game is won on offense and defense. I don't need it to be bigger than that. I don't need more kickoff returns for a touchdown, especially as a bettor, which is shocking to me that you as a gambler and somebody who's a sports bettor would want to bring in the variance of special teams plays into sports betting, because that's not what I want. Because
you know what happens, like I generally am betting the over, prop bets, touchdown bets, and if you're going to start me at the 35 as opposed to like the 20, I like that. Well, yeah, you would hate that then because it means more offense.
Yeah. Okay, I want less offense. Like, I want less more points means more variance. It brings into play more things that can happen and go wrong. So I think my job as a sports bettor is to eliminate variance as much as I can. I don't want more kickoff returns for touchdowns. That doesn't do me any good.
By the way, I think we're in agreements on this one here. Like, from a sports betting perspective, from like a side bettor, right? You handicap that game so appropriately at the end of the football game that your team has a lead. Credit to the team with the lead. Like the NBA, which does such a disservice and bastardizes the sport by allows you to call a timeout and advance it into the front court where you get an easy shot, penalizes the team that actually is winning the game. But the onside kick, they're looking to do some tweaks to that. I think it's perfect. I think the fact that nobody can get an onside kick, I absolutely love, because I'm not asking for a gift at the end of the game to get an onside kick. But when I have the lead, just recover it, walk off the field, because I'm supposed to win this game. What are your thoughts on maybe the amendments coming up on the onside kick in the NFL?
Again, perfect being the enemy of good, right? And all this went from player safety to, oh, well, now we don't like the product on the field, and so now we have to change it to a way to make it more amendable. Didn't want guys getting hammered in a 10-yard sprint on the onside kick, so we had to change it. And now we can't recover an onside kick anywhere. Look, the surprise onside kick needs to go back. That's the element of it that they're missing. You shouldn't have to declare it. You should just be able to do it. Like, that's the other part of this, where you're taking games out of coaches' hands. And that's why it's so hard to recover. Surprise onside kicks work. It's a strategic move. It's a coaching move. You have to study film to see which guy always takes off early on the kickoff to see if you can take advantage of it. Like, all those things are important in coaching, and the NFL is now taking it away because you have to announce every time you're going to do an onside kick. I agree with you. I don't want the onside kick to develop to deter the outcome of the game. There needs to be some better way to get it.
By the way, I'm going to ask you this one question too, because if this ever got approved, which we'll talk to after the break here, is if the NFL ever goes to a 4th and 15 or a 4th and 20 instead of the onside kick, I'm going to lose my mind and might as well just have an absolute carnival in the final 30 seconds to adjust it. Put somebody on a roller coaster and you get the football back. How about that? We'll be right back.
Hey sports fans, here's a tip to keep in mind the next time you make your betting picks. According to research, home field advantage is no joke, especially in those playoffs. In the NBA and the NFL postseason, the home team typically has a 64% shot at victory. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right back out of here on the early line. Hour number 3 in full effect. In just a few moments, we'll be joined by the coach to talk some women's college championship basketball and men's Final Four as well. But the biggest topic this morning, I've been waiting, Mark Zinno, for the tush-push vote to come down. It's been tabled to May because of how exciting and argumentative all sides are. We will get no resolution today on the tush-push. Are you upset with this?
Of course not. The NFL knows how to drag this stuff out.
They do. They really do.
Come on.
I mean, what were they going to drag out, by the way? You know what I mean? Like, they didn't drag out all these kickoff returns, but they knew, like, the one main thing was the tush push. Like, you know what? We don't have too much going on next month. Let's bring that out there right before the draft.
Yeah. I mean, they will drag this thing out as long as they can. I think there's plenty more hot take-itude to be explored in this whole thing. And, you know, from that standpoint, it was way too soon to call it over by making a decision.
By the way, is there a rule change, though, Mark, that you would like to, like, I'm not even saying like that they're challenging. If I made you commissioner of the NFL and said, Mark, is there one thing in an NFL game that you would like to see change from whether the way the game is played out or like a penalty call, or like, what would it be in your mind?
I mean, other than penalties being reviewable, I have said this for years. Forward progress is the worst rule in the NFL. It is absolutely the worst rule in the NFL. Let me get this straight. If I run into you with the ball and knock you forward, and I go forward with you, I get the ball going forward. If I run into you and you knock me backward, I get the ball where you hit me. How about we just put the ball down where the guy's knee goes down and end the day? And you want to talk about player safety? There would be less guys trying to stay up and fight, and they would go down quicker in the name of player safety to make sure that they don't get picked up and carried back 15 yards. And oh, by the way, if I could push the guy forward, guess what? I should be able to pick him up and push him back in the other direction. Forward progress is the dumbest rule in the NFL. It is absolutely an awful rule. And I'll give you one more. You ready for this? Got to put a part of your body in the end zone for a touchdown. This ball break the plane stuff is stupid. Put a part of your body in the end zone. That's how you score a
wouldn't
touchdown.
the finger be in the end zone, though? Does that count? Like you reach it over with the football and the finger?
It's like where I just touched the corner of the pylon thing. No, put a part of your body in the end zone. You have to do it everywhere else. You have to actually have the ball with your body and your knee down to possess the ball in that spot. Put a part of your body in the end zone.
How about this, though? You would love this. Like, you're on the goal line. Like, instead of doing the tush push, let's just say that gets banned here. You hand the football off back in the day, like the 80s. You jump into the end zone, but before you get there, two defenders catch you. And since you're not down by contact, they run you back to the other goal line and spike you for a safety. Fantastic.
Cool. Yep, let's do it.
All right. You know what else we got to do? We got to talk women's college basketball. Big doings last night. The Final Four is set for this weekend coming up. Donnie Rightside, Mark Zinno. Now we welcome in the coach, James Young, to talk some college basketball. Coach, how are we feeling today?
Still a little sleep deprived, but, I guess I'll sleep at some point in the next 3 weeks. Good to be on with you guys.
Exactly. We sleep in May, as somebody once famously said at that point. And those words are true, which includes USC UConn. 78-64. What an upsetting time, because Paige Buckets has been fantastic in this tournament. Juju Watkins would have been fantastic in this tournament. What a game we would have had last night. But you got to credit UConn. Look, nobody feels bad for USC. You got to win and move on. UConn did that in impressive fashion last night, Coach.
Yeah, and I've been on UConn pretty much the better part of the last 2 months because I just kind of felt that at some point they were just going to turn it on. I mean, people need to realize when she was a freshman, they weren't talking about Caitlin Clark. They were talking about Paige Beckers. And this is a Paige Beckers that has battled injuries. This is a team that lost AZ Fudd last year to an injury. You bring in Sarah Strong, who's the best freshman in the country, and no wonder why. And especially that 30-point beatdown that they went down and gave South Carolina about 3 weeks ago, they moved to the favorites to win the cut down the nets. It's a shame that we didn't have Juju last night. It really is. Because the NCAA women's tournament, they do a lot of things wrong, okay? Number one, having only 2 regional sites is the dumbest damn idea that I've ever heard of, right? You got press conferences for after one team's winning, the other team that's playing the next day, they're in a press conference. So that's dumb. The other thing that they did, and we saw it last year, people can remember this, right? Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. They put it in the regional final. Why? Ratings. And he did the same thing again, putting the 2 best players. There was no way that if you put USC as a 1 seed, that you had them, Connecticut, as the 7th best team in the country. That doesn't make sense if you do the snake in regard to the top 4 seeds. They did this because they wanted to put the 2 best players on the planet in the regional final for ratings. Guess what? It backfired. NCAA, do a better job next year. 4 regional sites, properly seed the teams. Bad for us that Juju didn't play, but great for basketball that we got Paige Beckers bowling and being completely healthy.
All right, Coach. I have a future on UCLA to win this thing. How secure should I feel right now?
Well, listen, they got the biggest kid in the country in Lauren Betts, 6'7", and Zinno. When she gets to her spot, you know what she reminds me of? Thinking about it, Zach Edey. When Zach Edey gets low, deep position, right, and she can get over that left shoulder for a jump hook, it's the most unstoppable shot in college basketball. And, they have also a great guard at Kiki Rice. Corey Close is a fantastic coach. To me, the favorite still is UConn because of the style of play they play and the way they're playing. But for a long time, Mark, they were the best team in the country, UCLA, including 2 wins over USC during the season. Corey Close has done a hell of a job with this team, and they will be in it. The team that to me, I'm not as big a believer in is I don't think South Carolina's right? They lose all these kids to the pros over the years. And eventually, Mark, it catches up. The issue that you have with South Carolina is they're starting Johnson and Papau in the backcourt. Malaysia Fulwiley is a sophomore, is their best guard. And I think Dawn is trying to balance like loyalty with talent. If Full Wiley starts to play 30 minutes, everybody's in trouble. I don't know if that happens. That's why UConn is minus money to win a national championship.
Yeah, good stuff here from the women's college game. And again, we're going to have the men's Final Four this Saturday as well. 2 games, unbelievable. All number 1 seeds going to get there. And if we start to focus on the Final Four itself, I know the eyes start to go to that Houston-Duke game number 2, 8:49 Eastern this weekend with that 4.5-point spread at the FanDuel Sportsbook in the favor of Duke, coach. But that's been elevated to 5.5 and 5s at some other outlets here. So that could be on the move. 136 as a total here. Talk to me here about Duke and Houston, the styles that they have. Unbelievable defense for Houston, unbelievable offense for the Duke Blue Devils.
But also unbelievable defense for Duke and a lot better offense for Houston than people expect.
Yep.
Donnie, I pray to God, here's what's going to happen. It's Duke. People are running to the window because it's Duke. And it's not just the bettors, it's the casual bettors that now that Duke is back, run to the window, run to the window. Get me to 6.5. And I'm taking the points with Houston. Why? 4 losses this year. 1 by 5 points to Auburn and 3 in overtime. That team plays it close to the vest. As the money starts coming to Duke, it's going to start going to the over. Let it keep going, guys. I like Houston if I get to 6.5, and I like the under. I think this is going to be an unbelievable game. And remember, folks, 2 of the slowest teams in the country offensively. This will be a half-court game.
Coach, give me a quick thought here. Playing in the San Antonio, the Alamo Dome down there, Houston's crowd advantage, will that help them towards Duke this weekend, or do you think it's going to be insignificant?
It's going to help Houston more. Why?
Yeah.
They just played at Lucas Oil Stadium. So they've already played in a big venue. The Rocks, where Duke played, advantage, although both teams should be able to get, I think, 2 practices at the Alamo Dome.
Unbelievable game set up for this weekend. Game number 2, as we just previewed there, Houston and Duke. Game number 1, we'll catch that next. Florida and Auburn. It's the coach, it's Mark, it's Donnie. It is a Tuesday on the Grid.
Hey sports fans, here's a tip to keep in mind the next time you make your betting picks. According to research, home field advantage is no joke, especially in those playoffs. In the NBA and the NFL postseason, the home team typically has a 64% shot at victory. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Lone Star State takes center stage this Saturday. San Antonio, Texas, the Alamo Dome, the Final Four. Game number 1 of that Final Four is going to be Florida and Auburn, 6:09 start Eastern. A minus 2.5 point favorite at the FanDuel Sportsbook to open. Still sits at minus 2.5 points. The total opened 161.5, still a lofty 160.5 total. We'll start here, Coach. Seeing those numbers, Florida, Auburn, initial thoughts on that game this weekend.
Well, a team like Auburn that struggled losing 3 out of the last 4 games, counting the SEC tournament, really looked at its best, I thought, its last game versus Michigan State. But my concern with Auburn still is, and you were on with K-Dub during that game, Donnie, you saw it. Anytime Janai Broome got out of that game, their offense got a little bit dicey, right? Remember 23-8 first half? It kind of got dicey. It kind of allowed Michigan State back into the game. And then obviously once he got hurt with the shoulder and then the ankle, it kind of bothered him again. So that's my concern is, can Auburn get enough scoring from others, especially if Janai Broome gets into foul trouble with looking at the size of Florida, where you could run 3 big, 6'10" or bigger. That could be a little bit of an issue. Then there's the other part, and that's Walter Clayton Jr. And I'm not saying it because K-Dub is an Iona kid, and K-Dub, we don't want to care about Iona anymore, right? It's more about the fact of this kid down the stretch, Donnie, is a bucket getter. And that is what you need at the end of the day. I believe in college basketball, guards win it. So to me, who has the best guard on the floor, tight game, that's Florida. Right now, I'm leading Florida on the money line since I can get it under minus 150.
Yeah, I've said earlier, I think that the over favors Florida here. I don't know that Auburn has enough complementary scoring, as you just indicated, to keep up. If you look at the game that they won, it was a 90-81 game. Auburn's got to find a way to keep Florida at worst case around 80, 81 in order to be able to win this game. Pace-wise, though, both of these teams get up and down. Is there any chance either one of them tries to slow anybody down?
I think if you're Auburn, maybe you do, because you want to keep Janai Broome in the game, where Florida can just run 3 guys in. They can run them in, out, right? Now, we'll have to see how Condon is, obviously, Zeno, because Condon got hurt on Thursday with the ankle. He did not look 100%, but now we're looking at it, 4 or 5 days off, right, Mark? So you should be able to get him somewhat healthy by that time. Here's the thing I would say, and this is why I also like Florida. I think Florida can win this game in a slugfest or in a transition game. I think Auburn can win it in a slugfest, but you're right. If the game starts getting high-paced, I don't think they can keep up. So that's why I'm leaning more taking Florida, because I think they can win it either style, where I think Auburn only chance to me is if the game is slowed down half-court basketball.
Auburn is awesome. We understand that. Very good on defense, very good on offense. But it's about this angle. I look at that 2.5 point number and I say, the odds makers are telling us Janai Broome should be just fine for this game Saturday. Coach, he came back into the game. He didn't look just fine. And if he's not just fine for Florida this weekend, that's going to really put a cramp in Auburn's style.
Yeah, but we're talking about the same kind of injury that Condon had, right? So if I think Condon should be good by Saturday, it should be Janai Broome. And I'll be honest with you guys, as a coach, you'll be surprised when you get down to the end of the year how much your superstars ready don't practice. I expect Janai Broome and Condon to be in the training room getting a ton of practice time. The only time you may see them is if you go through situations, stuff like that, running through your plays. But the warm-up drills, the transition stuff, guys, they're not going to be in there right now. You're saving these kids' legs. So I think Janai Broome should be okay and ready to go by Saturday.
Yeah, and so much of the coaching matchup here is really interesting to me. Bruce Pearl, the old head, versus the young guy over at Florida. And, I don't want to say Bruce Pearl's come up short in some of these moments sometimes, but, Coach, when you look at the game plan that he has to deploy here and the substitutions and, what the matchups are, I think that could be a big part in deciding the outcome of this thing.
Yeah, I think, listen, it's rightly so with Bruce. It's the same thing that we've said over the years. About Rick Barnes, right? Like tight spot. Yep. Like can he get over the hump? he's going to have the obviously the coaching advantage in regards to how many years he's been there. What's also crazy is a popular storyline that not a lot of people talk about. Remember, Todd Golden's first job was with Bruce Pearl at Auburn. So, as his director of basketball ops, I think 2008, 2009. So Todd's a little familiar with the system of what Bruce Pearl has done. So to me, it's a big spot for these guys. Listen, you look at college basketball and think about it. Bruce Pearl, Calvin Sampson, Mark Few, Rick Barnes. Those are probably the 4 best coaches in college basketball have not won a national championship. 2 out of 4 are in the Final Four. It's not going to be Bruce Pearl. I think it's going to be the other guy that ends up winning the national championship.
You take a look at those odds here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. 2 cut down the Nets there in San Antonio, Texas. Duke is a plus 100. Florida's a plus 290. Houston a plus 420. Auburn is a plus 490. Is it just so easy to take Duke or Coach? You have your eyes set on a prize that's a little bit more profitable than a plus 100 number.
It's Houston. You know why?
Yeah.
It's going to be some grown-ass basketball on Saturday night.
Yep.
And to me, it's going to come down. Here's the biggest thing. How will the referees officiate that game? You saw it against Tennessee. They had a really tight whistle, and you started to see how Tennessee got back in the game. If they allow physicality on both sides, you got young kids versus experience. You got a young coach versus an experienced coach. I got a feeling that Houston is going to steal this game, and the guy to watch is Emmanuel Sharp. His numbers for most outstanding player have been cut in half Sunday because he is the big shot taker and he's the big shot maker for the Houston Cougars.
Emmanuel Sharp at the FanDuel Sportsbook to take down MOP 23-1. If you want the favorite, it's Cooper Flagg at a plus 120, which means, again, Duke the heavy favorite at plus 100 to win an NCAA championship this year. The first could it be for John Shire, the post-K era. I want to thank Coach Jane Young for joining me this morning. Mark and Coach next to close it down on the early line. We'll see you right back.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. You studied the stats. You had the perfect bracket until your upsets turned into regrets. SportsGrid rides the highs and lows of every buzzer beater, bracket buster, and Cinderella story.
The Big Ten Freshman of the Year!
Our team brings you sharp insights, real-time reactions, and all the madness. Only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If you look at how the men and women did it, the men, the portal opened up the day after the round of 32. Same thing with the women. Men on Monday, women on Tuesday. Why can't they just do the day after the national championship game when the season ends, next season begins, then you open up the portal. All teams have completed play. All bets are off.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to the early line here on SportsGrid, SportsGrid TV, Sirius XM, channel 159. Mark Zeno closing it out here with Coach James Young as we turn our attention to the NBA tonight. Winding down the regular season here, I've said repeatedly that the seeding in the Western Conference will absolutely matter as far as the path and who ends up getting there. Look, we know Oklahoma City is going to be there, but who else gets there against them, it's going to matter for everybody else. And we'll start with Golden State and Memphis tonight. The Grizzlies, who fired their coach, they've lost 7 of their last 10. They got beat up last night against the Boston Celtics, and now they got to turn around and face the Golden State Warriors, who need a win themselves to continue to keep pace and avoid the play-in tournament here, Coach. So if you're Memphis right now and you got a brand new coach in this spot, I mean, they're in danger of losing their grip on being out of the play-in tournament at this point in time.
Yeah, and it's still shocking, Mark, that you would fire a coach so close to the end of the regular season. You could just do it for after the playoffs. But obviously, desperate times have come through desperate measures for a team in Memphis that is, let's be honest, Mark, they're one game out of being an eighth. So to me, that is this is a big storyline here. To me, Golden State's playing really good basketball. Winners of 7 out of the last 10 games. Winners of 2 games in a row. Rest advantage probably was in Memphis, at least from yesterday morning after the game 2 nights ago. Memphis has to travel from Boston and Memphis. You figure they're going to get home, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. This favors Golden State. So I do like Golden State minus the points tonight on the road with Memphis on the second leg of a back-to-back.
Yeah, and you just got to wonder what the motivation level is for Memphis. I mean, again, it has not gone well since they fired the coach. Speaking of motivation level, the Minnesota Timberwolves are taking on the Denver Nuggets. Look, if I'm Denver, I really would like to grab the 2 seed. Not that I think Houston necessarily is a huge challenge to them, but them having home court advantage all the way through up until the Western Conference Finals matters here. I think that this is a motivated team. Now, again, Minnesota probably wants to equally win as well to get out of the play-in tournament and have a chance to secure a 6 seed. So I think you get motivation on each side here. I'll always have a tough time betting against Denver when they're laying this short of a number at home.
Yeah, me too. And then the other part of it is, Mark, is Minnesota had to fight a couple of nights ago with Detroit. So there could be suspensions coming down the pipe at some point today. So if you like Denver, I would go and grab Denver now before possibly Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo, 2 guys that were ejected from the fight over the weekend, may have to sit. So to me, you're right. Mile high, Denver trying to get that 2 seed. If there's a spot here that you'd like Denver, it's at home, tight spread, minus 3.5. I would lay the points with Denver minus the points because I do expect possibly a shorthanded team in Minnesota tonight.
All right, final game we'll get into here in the NBA slate tonight. The Phoenix Suns, who continue to be an absolute disaster, are hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. Like the Eastern Conference, I'm still stuck on NFL here. The Eastern Conference is pretty much set. I mean, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami, and Chicago are going to be the play-in teams unless Milwaukee does something and falters terribly and Atlanta goes on a little bit of a win streak here. There's no reason to believe that the Eastern Conference numbers are all set with the exception maybe 3, 4, 5 kind of deal here. So I don't know that the Bucks have a whole bunch of motivation necessarily to have to continue to keep winning to keep their 6th seed. I think it's pretty firmly planned for them. Phoenix is a game out of the 10th spot. Talk so much about Kevin Durant and everything. Now he's got the injury. I don't know what Phoenix motivation level is to try even get in the play-in tournament at this point in time. Feels like a stay-away game here, but I don't know if you can bet Phoenix at this point in time.
No, you can't bet Phoenix this time, obviously with Kevin Durant being out the next 3 games, so you can't bet them. Milwaukee's interesting because they got to start playing better, right? They've lost 4 games in a row, and they're 1 game behind Detroit for the 5 seed. Let's be honest, folks. Milwaukee's played the Knicks a couple of times. I've watched it. The Knicks have blown them out. They don't want that 6 seed. They need 5. They need 5 in the worst way, except that their matchup, crazy as it sounds, better with Indiana, even though Indiana bounced them out last year, but they were hurt. So look for them to try and make a move here. Wait for the game to start. Maybe the line drops a little bit, then jump on Milwaukee live in the game. They should be able to get the win and the cover.
Yeah, Milwaukee's path, again, not great, as you mentioned, because the Knicks have taken care of them. But also, this is a Pacers team that's probably playing some of the best basketball in the NBA. Since they finally got back to 500 on January 4th at 18-18, they're 26-13. That's 67% since they finally get back to 500. So, all right, Coach, appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. We'll probably do it again tomorrow morning. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks for everybody who tuned into the early line. We got plenty of Sports Grid coming up next. Keep it right here on the Grid.